is Dorsey,
This is Vinny.
and we haven't talked since May. So what we're gonna do today is catch up on the piles and piles of summer stuff we haven't gotten around to.
hmm We sure are. We'll basically be going over like the last podcast we did. We talked about Guardians, and then I complained about the dinner. And that was May 15th. And King Arthur, I saw 2 days later, and I'd love to complain about that. So basically, we'll be having that, and then it's kind of going to bleed into August because the last thing I saw was Logan Lucky, which I know you haven't seen yet, but we definitely got a lot to
Soon.
talk about. It's going to be a lot of little mini reviews. No real news or previews this time. It's just going to be a lot of going over the summer, or favorite, least favorites, or in other words, my favorite, least favorites, and you talking about Wonder Woman.
Okay, I liked
So,
a lot of stuff other than Wonder Woman since I skipped out on most of the blockbusters this time around because I'm getting too old for this. I don't know
you
that I have any least favorites. If
no.
anything that I just like hated. I mean,
Um.
I wasn't as hype on Baby Driver as a lot of people were. Same with It Comes at Night. I was the naysayer, but
Oh yeah. Um.
mostly good.
Well, what did you avoid? Because I avoided Pirates because I was done after three.
What did I
I,
specifically avoid? Like I said, definitely not watching that and like made a point not to.
yeah, because I avoided Pirates. I avoided the new Transformers because I've never seen any of them.
Same.
And Alien Covenant, I just didn't get around to it, and I have no like. I'll watch it at some point this year. I just didn't get around to see it in the theater, even though I like Prometheus.
I skipped all the franchise stuff except for Wonder Woman and Spider-Man. Skipped Planet of the Apes, skipped Pirates, skipped Transformers,
Apes is worth it.
skipped I feel like there's another one that I
We'll come to it.
Cars 3 passed.
I have a couple friends with like kids now under 5, so I did end up seeing Cars 3. But and it's better than 2. It brought the series back to watchable. That's about it. It's a film that find out that his company was bought out by some rich guy, rich car. And he's like, "You're gonna race, and you're gonna get trained by this trainer." And she's like, "I want to be a racer, but instead I'm a trainer." I'm like, "Oh, so by the end of it, you're gonna be a racer?" And then she is.
Yeah.
I went,
I skipped the Annabelle movie,
"Oh yeah."
even though I mean I was told it was better than the first one, and I could believe that because I actually really liked Ouija Origin of Evil last year. It was a lot better than the first one.
I still gotta get around to seeing that.
So I'm willing to give these prequels of stupid horror movies a chance, but I just haven't gotten around to it. I might like once it hits like the discount theater or something.
Yeah, I might wait for Conjuring just to show up on Netflix, but Annabelle to show up on Netflix by the end of the year. The rich car, by the way, was Nathan Fillion. He went to Owen Wilson and said, "You're gonna drive for us." And he's not. He's just being. The whole movie was useless. I don't know why I went back to it. Did you? Sorry. Did you get to see King Arthur?
Get to you make it sound like it would have been a privilege. No, I did not.
Oh, okay. I'm.
You know how I feel about Charlie Hunnam.
I know. Lost City of Zed's great, but it's okay. So King Arthur. I don't know how full up you are on Guy Ritchie films, but King Arthur is such a waste of what should have been a decent story.
Oh, that was the only reason why I was even considering it, because like I can dig on Guy Ritchie films, like they're fun.
I was to
I
kind
liked
of get.
Man from Uncle more than most people did, I think.
I thought Man from Uncle was fine.
Maybe just because like I'm a pig and I just wanted to watch beefy guys roll around, but whatever.
Okay. I saw it with 2 friends of mine, and they were both loving it, and I'm like, this is okay. This is fun. I'm never gonna watch it again, but I've definitely heard a lot of other people being in love with it, and I don't know. Um, with King Arthur, I ended up watching because I was looking forward to it for since the first trailer. I really
Hmm.
was. I sat and rewatched Excalibur, which is a phenomenal film, and I forgot how amazing it is. And then I watched The Sword and the Stone, like the Disney one, because again, friends with kids coming over.
Sure.
And then I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And then I watched this King Arthur movie with Charlie Hunnam that feels like a film that should have been an 8 hour miniseries, and instead they cut it down to however the hell long this is. Um,
2-ish hours. Like, who can?
it was 125 minutes, 26 minutes, and there's a bit where there's a witch character, and I think it's the same. Is it the same? Is it Sophia Butella? Was it her?
Wasn't she the one in the Mummy?
She was in the Mummy. That's not who I thought it was. That's totally not it. Oh yeah, her character's name was just the Mage, and she has no name. And she was trying to remember where I what else I saw her in like right before, but she doesn't even get a name, and she's just helping everyone else, and she just sits there being mystical. And she says to defeat this guy, you have to go to this island and fight all these creatures. And it's like, okay, this could be fun. And then he gets sent to this island, and then there's a minute-long montage cut like a music video of a trailer for a music video, I should say, of him fighting things and all these weird close-ups and shit. And then after that minute, it goes back to him sitting there on the floor going, that was hard. And she's like, oh my God, it was. And then they move on. And I'm like, did you just skip like an hour of the movie? What the fuck was that? And
Sounds really quality.
oh, it really felt like the studio came in and said, dude, seriously, this is shit. Just trim it down. And it's still over 2 hours. And it was just so pointless. Like, I honestly forgot a lot of what made it so pointless at this, because this was May. And I think my review, I just went to the IMDb trivia section where it said this is the first installment of a planned 6 film series.
Yeah,
I,
no way that's happening.
it's like, you know what? If you're going to do that, just make it a miniseries now. Because all I said was fuck off, and that got 13 likes. Because I don't know, but it's not even worth watching for fun. Like, I didn't have fun with it. I was like, I keep hearing, oh, Guy Ritchie did a King Arthur movie. It's like Snatch with King Arthur. I'm like, no, it's not, because Snatch is fun and worth watching with characters that matter and actual, storyline and plot and shit. This is just Jude Law walking into a thing where Jude Law goes to Ursula from The Little Mermaid, who lives in the bottom of his castle, and
You're kind
she
of
said,
losing me on this. Like, what is this movie?
oh, okay. So Jude Law is Prince John, and
Okay, I'm with you.
he to get this Ursula from The Little Mermaid, who lives in the basement of the castle, to do his bidding. She needs a blood sacrifice, so he takes his wife down there and says, we're going to do this together. Thank you for everything. She's like, yeah, you're welcome. Stabs her in the neck. Oh, that's what you meant. And she falls in. Ursula eats her alive. And then he becomes king magically. So then, years and years later, is, now King Arthur is an adult, because I guess this is when he was a baby. And now he's an adult. And he lives in a whorehouse. But it's PG-13, I think. And so it doesn't matter that it's a whorehouse. And him and his gang of bullshit snatched right off characters do shit. And then basically they thought King Arthur was Robin Hood. That's the best way to explain it. Like, he wanted to make a Robin Hood movie, but it was King Arthur. And so he walks around walking like Macklemore for a while, and then Jude Law's like, oh shit, the sword came out of the water. I gotta go kill my daughter now. And he walks into this room. There's four women who look the same, dressed the same, and one of them says, "Oh, father." And I'm like, if you hadn't said that, I wouldn't know who the fuck you are. And it's a 5-minute scene of him going, "Do you know I love you?" Right? I'm like, oh my god, just stab her already. And then he stabs her in the side, and then throws that in the water. And Ursula's like, "Oh fuck, what else do you want?" All right, I'll eat your daughter, I guess. And then Charlie Hunnam shows up with the sword, and I can't even remember. I remember. Oh no, he fights some giant CG monster, I think, and I'm like, I don't care. And my friend next to me, bless his heart, is like, "This is really fun, right?" I'm like, "Sure."
Bless his heart.
Bless his heart, and and I'm just sitting there, just slouching slower and lower in my chair, like, man, I thought this was going to be decent. This is just drivel.
Rarely do I have such like visceral physical reactions to
The,
bad
yeah,
movies.
the
I mean,
last. Oh, I've had a few of
there's a
those.
couple, but
This has been a
there's a
really
couple.
this has been a really strong year for both films that really piss me off and films that I'm in love with, which is a kind of a good year. There's a lot of emotional responses I've gotten out of a lot of stuff I've seen.
But on
But
both extremes, right? Like,
yes,
not a
exactly.
whole lot of
It's
eh, whatever.
right. Like the last couple years, I've been like, barring a few random encounters, like watching Brie Larson be amazing. Other than that, like, oh, that was a film I saw. I guess this is my favorite. Or last year, the only thing that really hit me at all was The Witch, but I'm not going to start talking about that right now
We'll get
because
sidetracked.
oh yeah, I think we need to do a Halloween episode where we just go, "Isn't The Witch amazing?" We talk for 3 hours.
Yeah, that'd be
But
great.
so anyway, King Arthur was awful. I give it 2 out of 5. You haven't seen it,
I
but
haven't seen it.
I'm
Don't
going
plan
to
to.
yeah, I'm going to not recommend it. Anyone that's watching or listening, Christ, it's pointless. Uh, but yeah, did you get to see Snatched with Goldie Hawn and Amy Schumer?
Did I? No, I did not.
Okay, that was a Mother's Day movie. Uh, with my mom, and it was. She's like, "I haven't seen Goldie Hawn in a
Was it
movie," and
as like racist as it looked? That's
um,
all we really need to know. I don't need a full recap because
well,
I'm pretty sure I know exactly what happens in that movie.
it wasn't racist, really. It was just, I mean, it was fine. Like it was better than King Arthur. I've never been a fan of Amy Schumer. I wasn't a fan of her when she first came out like 5 years ago and was just a shock comic and was just being drunk and saying shocking things for shock value and shocking and then more shock and
Sure.
then not actually telling jokes. And then she
I
disappeared
mean,
and showed up
yeah.
40 pounds heavier and thought that was funny. And I'm like, no. But in this, she's tolerable.
See,
But
I
it's
liked some of like her sketches from her show. Like, I not enough to like watch her show, but like
if yeah.
if I was linked on YouTube, there were some, and I liked Trainwreck, I guess.
See, I didn't bother with Trainwreck because of her. Um, Snatched, I honestly really saw it because Goldie Hawn shows up, and that was cool. But there's actually a point in the movie where they're stuck in the jungle, and Goldie Hawn shows up, and the next morning, like, "Oh, look, I found something. Come here," and her face is all stretched out again, and I'm like, "Did you get Botox overnight? Like, you think you would have waited before the shoot was done to get another treatment like that?" Okay, and it's just really obvious. And
Like a
then
Kate Mara's wig situation. Do you remember Kate Mara's wig, right?
Kate Mara's,
I don't
yes,
have to say anything more.
no, you don't. I just, God, that was such a great midnight movie experience for me to go see. Fant Four Stick, and I almost got in a fight in the theater and this guy starts yelling at me because I talked during the end going, what the hell was that? And he starts yelling at me, and I'm with my one friend that instead of just apologizing and trying to leave, he's the one friend that will stand up and go, okay, whose ass are we kicking now?
Oh
And then I
no.
and then the guy comes down to me and I'm like, oh, it's a friend from work and he's fucking with me. So I gotta tell my friend to like calm down, it's fine. Oh my god. Like I and so that's a better memory than watching of hey, we don't have to bring the girl with us into the other dimension. She's a girl. We're the guys. We're gonna go by ourselves. And then the giant energy beam shoots out and it hits all these people, but she's the only one that's affected with invisibility. Anyway, damn it. Um, there's a point in Snatched where she has this drunken date with the guy, and then he takes her to the hotel room, and he says, "Your tits out." And she's like, "You know what? Your tits out too." And he's like, "No, your tit is actually out." And then it's like a half shot back, and it's just her boobs there. And I'm like,
Wait, what?
Amy Schumer shows her tits in the movie.
Oh, okay.
And I went, huh, that's a thing. And people in the audience weren't laughing as much as reacting like it was a gross out humor moment, which I thought was interesting considering that this is it was a female marketed film. And then when there was a boob, it was like a reaction of almost like someone threw up. And I'm like, that's an interesting reaction I'm getting from this full theater on a Sunday afternoon.
Weird.
And then I don't even remember how it ends. I think they get back, and then she says, I'm okay, and then it ends. Snatched was fine. If you're forced to watch it, you won't be mad, but I would not have seen it except for it was Mother's Day, and I'd had no problem taking her. Uh,
Something else I'm probably gonna pass on then.
okay, sure. Um, what else is I want to get to. I'm quickly going through my list of what I saw. Going in
Okay.
style.
Because
Going
you
in.
saw more than I did, clearly.
I think so. That's why I'm waiting to bring up something that you've seen, so I'm
Okay.
not the only one talking. I'm sorry. Going in style was actually solid. That's the one with Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman and Alan Arkin robbing a
Okay.
bank.
I remember the trailer.
Yeah, that one's fine. That's like a Netflix watch. That one's a completely solid little Zach Braff directed film. It just kind of came and went though, but it's fine.
Yeah, not a lot of fanfare around it because I
No,
forgot about it until you mentioned it just now.
exactly. And I honestly don't remember a lot of what happens, just that it's funny and it's cute. And Michael Caine's granddaughter in the movie is the daughter from White House Down, which means she's also the same girl from Wish Upon, which I cannot wait till we get to Wish Upon because holy shit. Anyway, um, Kidnap, that Halle Berry movie, uh, where her kid gets kidnapped and she chases him around, and it's in theaters
So
right
is it
now.
basically Taken, but with Halle Berry? Because that's the impression that I got.
It's yeah, it's just her chasing this car down on the freeway for 90% of the movie. It's also funny how this thing got put out in early August and it's getting marketed, and this thing's been on the Fire Stick since April. So it counts as a summer movie, and it's on the list, and it's just dumb. Her making, if I make a dumb decision, the movie will last longer, and it's just that over and over. And
Great.
then it ends with her in this hillbilly house, and it actually gets kind of scary for a minute, and then the movie ends. I'm like, yep. Here we go. June 4th, I'm in Florida seeing my friend. And he says, I have to work the whole week you're here because I couldn't get the time off. However, I am off Friday. There's one thing we're doing, and we're seeing Wonder Woman immediately. So, ma'am, I gave Wonder Woman 4 out of 5, and I liked it. How did you feel about Wonder Woman?
You want me to? I love Wonder Woman.
Please go on.
Okay, but here's the thing. After I watched it a second time, I realized that like it wasn't the second coming of Christ.
Oh, no.
But like, I mean, I still really liked it.
Mhm.
But you know, watching it back a second time, like there's some issues towards the end that stick out a little bit more. But yeah, definitely the cream of the crop as far as the summer movie blockbuster season goes. I mean,
Okay.
you could argue about other like indies and whatnot, probably, but it was it was different, which is something that I appreciated. As far as I mean, obviously it has like the same like basic origin story beats that you can't really avoid without just not doing an origin story altogether. But tonally it was different from a lot of these movies. Like it was compassionate as opposed to cruel like some of these other blockbusters, even the ones that I like in the superhero category go.
Remember when she ran across the no man's land and deflected 7
Of
trillion?
course. Of course I do. I still dream about it.
She deflected 7 trillion German bullets and then runs into a village and they said, "Thanks. Holy shit, there's a sniper in this church. What are we going to do?" And she's like, "Christianity? What's that? I'm the daughter of Zeus. I'm going to knee the shit out of your church and it's going to crumble to the fucking ground."
Well, they all lived, okay? God.
I'm not complaining. It was amazing. Because all we've known of Wonder Woman throughout growing up, from seeing, watch if you watched any of like the DC animated films or the series or
Of course, seen all of
clip
them.
clips from the 70s show.
Read everything from like the 80s forward. Like, I know my Wonder Woman, okay?
I know you do. I know you do. I want to know how often she used her knee to solve all her problems.
Not her knee specifically, but she has a versatile range of skills.
I'm not complaining. I thought it was amazing. Just because it's like, okay, you're walking around with the sword and shield. The whip hasn't really come up. Maybe they don't have a way to viably put it in. I don't know when the invisible jet's coming, but I'm
Wait,
assuming
what?
it's. I don't know.
She used the lasso all through it.
She did. Yeah. You know
Yeah,
what? I was think.
they skipped the jet, but she uses the lasso all the time.
She uses the less all the time, and I'm not thinking of it because I'm so concentrating on the stupid knee, and I apologize because it's still the primary thing. It's like she does it 2 different times. Just and I loved it a lot, and I'm thinking about it more. And then Chris Pine's like, you know what I need to do right now? We're gonna go dancing. Thanks for saving all
I
of
really
our
liked Chris
asses.
Pine in this movie.
Yes.
And like there's a cynical part of me that feels like maybe he wouldn't be such a well fleshed out love interest if he wasn't a man and we have to have a central man character. But as far as these superhero movies go, I don't think there is a better fleshed out like main love interest. But he's able to do that without distracting from
Oh yeah.
Diana and her problems and her character development over the course of the movie.
Fine, I'll sleep with
But
you.
like
Whatever. Fine.
Pepper Potts would never have this level of like a full character that was a person before they fell in love with whoever, you know.
Right.
So that's
Well,
something that I really appreciated about it.
he is very he's effective enough that he's not distracting. You don't want to sit there and go, we need a Chris Pine movie. He is exactly where he needs to be, and he is really well written, and they did a lot really well with so much.
And there's a lot that could have gone wrong with Steve Trevor in this movie, and a lot of things that I was afraid of, like he's gonna have to rely on a man, even though it's fucking Wonder Woman, or her character development is gonna rely entirely on the male love interest as opposed to
Right.
helping instead of like driving it. You know,
Or and not even just Chris Pine at some point. It's when they run into the whole like group of misfits that come together, and they don't explain why there's a Native American there on his own, but that's okay. They all got
I
their own
mean,
moments anyway. They all
he
got
doesn't get like an intricate backstory, but
no.
he has a reason for being there, and it is what it is. It doesn't need like a
Right.
whole flashback
Well,
sequence or anything stupid like that.
I'm not trying to cinema sin it. I'm just saying like I like that even then you all felt you knew enough about them, like the sniper who can't shoot because he's have such PTSD and he's being forced back into a war zone and he's trying to do the best he can, and it's like this is all well developed enough without it distracting from the fact that you're here to watch fucking Wonder Woman. But
Sure, like they're all fleshed out enough to serve their role with being more than just like blank slates and like faces that
the
just serve their purpose and do nothing else.
right,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but there hits a point where spoilers, because fuck it, she does stab someone, and the sword goes through the roof of this building, and then Chris Pine runs up, and he sees the sword, excuse me, and he reacts in a way that is him going, "Oh God, she killed someone," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know how you knew that when there's no blood at all, and she just stabs someone." So I don't know what you're worried about. Well, as far as you know, she just threw the sword in the building. Um, then Professor Lupin shows up, and he is Inferno from Soul Calibur, and
Oh,
and
whatever.
and it's like, movie, you didn't need to turn this into giant CG monster thing for her to fight. God
Yeah,
damn it,
that was
movie.
that was like the only complaint that I had with it was that the end becomes kind of like a CGI fuckfest, and it's not even like really that good looking
No,
CGI.
it's not. And he's Ares. I'm like, you killed Ares. I'm like, you probably didn't, but okay. Like, he's Ares. It's a god, and she's the god killer, but I don't think
I mean,
he's.
they established that all the other gods had been killed by Ares,
It's
so it could. Hopefully because I'm ready for a cheetah movie.
for a what?
A cheetah movie. I've been waiting my whole life for this.
Well, I'm hoping that Wonder Woman really makes them look at everything they have and go, we need to take a different approach to everything we've ever done
Well,
and go from
they
there.
don't appear to be doing that just based on news that's coming out.
Yeah, it they're trying. I think somebody finally jumped in and went, all right, so Justice League is going to be Justice League, but
Heavy sigh here.
I'm hoping that now they can develop like, we can make it funny, but we don't have to turn it into a goddamn Marvel movie where people that hate.
Yeah, I mean the tone in Wonder Woman was it was light when it had to be light and it was serious when it had to be serious. Like she can have like a visceral, disgusted reaction to this entire town being annihilated, and you can have Etta Candy in the same movie.
Oh, I like her. Can she stay?
Etta's so good.
It is. I know. It's easily one of the better parts of the. I liked it more than Spider-Man. I really like Spider-Man. And
I really liked Spider-Man also.
when it comes to,
I think I liked Wonder Woman slightly more
yeah,
just because there's more of a I have an emotional backstory with it. But Spider-Man was one of the better MCU movies, I think.
definitely. At least anything they've done in the last few years, because the Marvel movies are a bit kind of starting to become a chore.
They're starting to wear on me. Like
Yeah.
even as like a comics nerd, like I have a love-hate relationship with them at this point. Like I was pretty disappointed in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, the second one.
Yes.
And every time I say like I'm done, they're all the same, uh blah blah blah, all the standard complaints. Like the villain sucks, no stakes, uh
Mm.
whatever. Every time I
I-
start like being on the hate train, like they come out with one that's worth my time again. And then now I'm here.
Spider-Man let itself toy with the fact that it knows it's the third Spider-Man movie this, last 15 years. And because they mock the first movie with that elevator scene when he's upside down and he's
Oh yeah.
looking at the girl, and I'm like, oh, you're mocking the
Yeah, there's
Sam
some like
Raimi movie.
callbacks to it. And even like the scene with the boat where he's like holding it together or whatever
Yeah,
is reminiscent of it was a train? Like a
it's
subway train
the
in
subway
Spider-Man
train.
2?
Which, to be honest, I still like that is one of the that scene still sticks with me. I haven't watched Spider-Man 2 since '04, and that scene sticks with
I
me
love
more than
Spider-Man
anything
2.
else.
I've
Oh
watched
yeah,
it pretty recently.
I meant to rewatch it. I didn't get around to it because I rewatched the first one and I meant to watch the second one. I just didn't get to it in time. But that scene still sticks with me just to this day more than almost anything else in that film. And the boat scene was cool, but I think the main issue where I would put Spider-Man below Wonder Woman is the fact that it keeps going back to Tony Stark. And I get that's the point, is that he's trying to teach a protege and trying to put them together. And then at the end, Peter Parker's like, let me finish high school first. I'll join the Avengers later because I need to grow up. And Tony Stark's like, I don't give a shit. Well, we'll see you later, I guess.
I know, like, I don't know. I have feelings about Tony Stark, and I don't think they're what they are intending me to have. Like you're supposed to cheer when he's on screen, but he just consistently makes awful choices that he shouldn't be doing. And Michael Keaton as Vulture in this movie is totally right when he says that
Oh,
Tony
yeah.
Stark, isn't a good guy.
No, I mean, the Tony Stark that we get in the Marvel movies is actually toned down
Oh yeah,
from the
he is.
comics.
Because
And I,
he has to be likable or they can't sell the movie. But
right. Which is why when I remember he was originally cast back in when they announced it in '07,
mhm.
when he was originally cast, and everyone said, "Oh yeah, that's great," because Tony Stark has alcoholism issues in the comics, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to avoid that." It's like, okay, but why are
Or
we?
they'll just retcon it the one time that they do bring it up.
Right,
Like they just made it so that Iron Man 3 never happened, which is a whole other episode of me complaining my ass off.
Trevor.
So
So
I'll fight anyone to defend Iron Man 3, okay?
I thought Iron Man 3 was fine. I actually enjoyed it. I like Guy Pearce uh, in general. I was happy that he got to be a villain in a major movie like that and get that exposure, and their fight at the end where Tony's grabbing random bits of his suit to punch him once and then it flies away. Like, this is so intricate and detailed and storyboarded, and it's really cool. But everyone's gonna get, and even watching that final fight, I'm like, everyone's gonna get pissed off about Mandarin, and they're gonna ignore all this awesome stuff going on
That's
right
what
now.
happened. They were all mad about Mandarin. Like, literally, who cares about Mandarin? Because a Marvel movie
Mm.
finally decided that there's going to be consequences and character development, then they're going to retcon it the next movie. Or whatever the next time Tony Stark shows up. Age of Ultron?
Also,
Fuck Age of Ultron.
also,
I watched it the one time in theaters, and I was already done halfway through the movie.
Ultron I gave 3 out of 5. That's, I think my write up for that is just, are these a chore yet?
F
Yes.
this.
It kind of made me tired of watching the Blacklist. I went back to the Blacklist, like, I'm done. But no, Spider-Man, I loved Michael Keaton's character. I loved a lot of what they did with him. Just, he's trying the scene at the end of the Avengers near the end where Hulk and Thor wind up in that building and then Hulk punches him.
Yeah.
That room that they land in is where Michael Keaton's crew is at the beginning of Spider-Man cleaning up. It's the same room. So that just kind of put the time place on it. And I love that, he's just mad. He's like, I can't even, this is messing up so many people. It kind of goes more into you guys are doing superhero stuff, but what does it do with us? Which is what Ultron was trying to dive into, which is, you guys are sitting here blowing up buildings to fight villains. Meanwhile, my kid was in this building. He's dead. And
Civil War, you mean?
It was Civil War. I'm sorry, not Ultron.
Yeah, but Civil War completely. I mean, they brought up like these ideas of like, well, how do normal people live in a world where Captain America and Iron Man are just like roaming around doing what they do?
Right.
And they brought up that idea and then dumped it in favor of elaborate superhero fights. They didn't really follow up on anything that was presented.
Right.
Like ideologically in the beginning, because it became about like Bucky's betrayal killing Tony's mom or whatever. But something I really liked about Homecoming is that, I mean, even though Spider-Man's Spider-Man and he can do what he does, words are good. Like, the whole movie is about just normal people just trying to live in a world where these things are possible, and they're becoming more and more common.
I mean, at the same time, Spider-Man did that pretty well, but Daredevil is still doing that perfectly.
Yeah, well, I mean, within the MCU, since the MCU isn't really concerned with questions like that. Like, the Raimi Spider-Man movies were, for sure, but yeah, MCU's never been concerned, except the Netflix ones, kind of. I mean, I could talk about Defenders.
That's another conversation, because Defenders is a lot to talk about.
I have a lot to say about the Marvel Netflix, and a lot of it's good, and a lot of it's bad.
The Hand is useless.
I don't want to talk about the Hand, please.
Okay, fine.
Break everybody's ears by like
general agreement. Wonder Woman is better than Spider-Man.
But
I do like that.
A lot better. Like, it's better, but like, give Spider-Man its due.
I do like that Spider-Man puts him in a technical high school instead of a normal high school, so they can turn Flash into the kid.
Also, they used the Academic Decathlon logo, but that is not. Academic Decathlons never had buzzers. I was the captain of my team, and every show with nerds in it makes me so mad because, like, they always use it as a thing and have no idea what it actually is. They don't have buzzers, but they use the official logo, which is farther than most, like, shows go. That made me so mad.
Well, maybe
So many.
maybe it's how far did your team go?
No, it's the same even at national level. Like it works the same. There's no buzzers.
Okay. Uh,
I mean, we got second place at state competition in Alaska, so like
nice.
we weren't like top tier or anything. Like we didn't go to Washington D.C. and get like fucked up by Spider-Man. But
And get stuck in the Washington Monument that was built by slaves, kinda.
yeah,
That line bothered me because it didn't make any sense. It wasn't funny. But I don't know. I'm still thinking about if the Washington Monument had a bomb go off in it. One, that kid isn't leaving the building without 400 government agents wondering why he brought a bomb onto the Washington Monument. He's just able to go home, and why there wasn't a bigger deal on the news that, oh, hey, look, terrorist attack on this national monument from like, I don't know, that got me. They just kind of act like it didn't happen. Like, that's massive.
right.
Also, like, the Avengers would have shown up at that point. Like, oh, it's as soon as they hear bomb goes off Washington D.C., here's a fucking plane full of every Avenger showing and going, what? When did this happen? But I think that's shit that I thought of while leaving the theater. Like, okay, the high's wearing off.
That's like cinema synth shit. Like, don't worry about it. Don't worry
It's
about it.
not. It's is it though? Like, I'm not a big fan of cinema sins, but I mean, a bomb went off in a national monument and no one cared. That's just considering that
Spider-Man cared a lot.
he did. Maybe that was enough.
I know what you're trying to say though.
Yeah.
I
Um.
liked, I liked and I didn't like that there was a lot of like Miles Morales adjacent kind of material.
There
Like
was one.
they had Genki and then they renamed him Ned for reasons that are probably racist. And then they had his uncle
Yeah.
and they like basically name dropped him and yet still our third go around with Spider-Man we went with Peter. But
For
just
now.
they acknowledged that Miles existed like just enough,
To set it up later if they
but it
have to.
wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And like I'm not mad about Peter in this instance just cuz Tom Holland was like genetically engineered specifically to be
Mhm.
Peter Parker.
He's my favorite Peter Parker of the three, actually, by far.
I think he needs one more movie before I can. I don't know. Like
Um,
Tobey Maguire, maybe objectively isn't great, but the movie around him is so great.
sure. Andrew Garfield, I never bought as Peter. I liked him as
Andrew
Spider-Man.
Garfield's no, just no.
Yeah.
Um,
All right,
I
so
just
base.
really want Miles. Okay, just like why can't I
Yeah.
have the things that I want?
Well, they brought it up, and he's going to be the nephew of Lando, and and then it'll all work out. I really feel that they know that they have to take care of that perfectly, and just sit there on their hands going, one day we'll have Fantastic Four back. And I can't see them trying to do a Fantastic Four movie, but they will show up in something else and probably involve Spider-Man. It's like, but that's far off. And then eventually Spider-Man or Peter Parker
I
becomes
mean, it's
Captain
gonna have to be
America.
far enough off that people forget about Fanforstic.
Fantastic. Well, we had three Spider-Mans in a near 10-year span, so I mean, I think people will just
Well,
know
that's
that.
different because Spider-Man is more popular than they are,
Right.
or his movies have been.
Right.
Not counting like the Andrew Garfield ones, really. Even though that like they made plenty of money just like writing on the Spider-Man name, but nobody
Yeah.
cared for them.
I don't think I bothered to see Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I did, and it was not good.
All right, let's
It
go
was
back.
like hilariously bad, actually.
Let's dig back to what we're doing. Wonder Woman's better than Spider-Man. All right,
It's decided. Boom.
so we got It Comes at Night, which I think we were both disappointed in, and you had more of a strong reaction to it than I did. Like when you texted
I
me, when you
Go ahead.
texted me saying, "So it comes at night." It's just sadness for no reason, and it was funny because I didn't tell you I was going to see it, but that was the first text I read as I was walking out of the theater. I'm like, "Oh, we both
Oh,
have the
you
same
were
idea."
going into the theater.
No, we I was just leaving.
Oh, okay,
And I was
perfect.
checking my phone. I'm like, did I tell her I was going? Fuck. So we both went at like the same time without realizing it. Go ahead first with your thoughts on it because I think yours were a bit stronger than mine.
I guess we both feel in the minority with it, and that like a lot of people really liked it,
Mm-hmm.
but I felt like for the sake of being bleak, like it didn't have anything to say about. I didn't feel like it had anything to say. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't show the monster because the whole like conceit is that man are the real monsters and paranoia will kill us all, but The Walking Dead is still airing. Like we all know it. It's a pretty common trope. You have to bring more than that to the table. Otherwise, you're just horrifically sad just for the sake of being horrifically sad. And it was like technically well made, but it felt like a draft of a screenplay. Like it could have been so much better than it was
Mm-hmm.
if it had been. It would not have to be completely rearranged like some movies would. It would just need to be polished a little more, which made it even more disappointing because like there and it was just not executed to my very high standards who loved Wonder Woman.
Um, the director himself, it was like Trey Edward Schultz. Now that I'm looking it up,
Uh-huh.
he has said, "I get what everything means. I'm not telling you. I know what it means. Figure it out." And I've read the main theory is that
And I thought at length about this movie. It's not that
no,
I thought about it at length. So this he sounds like a pretentious
yes,
like shit.
yeah, it's that's I'm trying to find exactly what I said. Everything Schultz has said in interviews, he knows why everything is the way it is, including the title. He purposely hid it all so he could be as confused as the leads. Fuck you. Um, the problem with this movie is that it's really well made. Like he's made something that I think is his first film. It's or
No,
was it was
didn't he do like his second? Krisha?
oh
I
yeah,
didn't see it.
that Christian movie. That's right. I keep forgetting that this is the same guy. I need to see that because that's all I've seen is just everyone going, "This movie's amazing."
It's on my
But
list on either Netflix or Amazon, whichever one it's on. I don't remember, but
okay, I wish it was on Netflix.
eventually.
Yeah, I think it's on Amazon. Um, yeah, that's supposed to be. It looks interesting, but he's made something that the tension is there. It's just pounding at you the whole time, and it's really well shot. And he knows how to direct his actors, and he knows how to make a film. And it's like I feel that he's got the same style and the same talent and the eye for detail. Like if he was trying to make something that was more viable, he would have made The Witch, and I'm not going to go into that, but it feels like the same idea, which is where the comparisons were coming from, where it's really high critically, but audiences were down on it.
Right. I mean,
And
I can see why people are making that comparison, but like
God, The Witch is so much better.
The Witch actually goes somewhere with this idea. Like paranoia
Mhm.
is not
Like the
that
Black
you can't
Plague is a
you have to be saying something
metaphor.
about paranoia. You can't just say paranoia the movie. Like,
Well,
well, what about it?
a theory that keeps coming up, and if this is all it means, I'm going to hate this movie. But you've got this zombie movie that's basically it's the Black Plague that's going around, and the main theory that I've read is it's about the fear of letting people into your life. And the more you let people in, the more susceptible you are to getting hurt. And I read that description
That's
while
weak.
making a jack off motion with my hand. And I
No,
was
that's
like,
weak. I'm not
yeah,
buying that. And even then, like, is it a justified fear then, according to
it's
this theory? And so the point of this movie is like, don't
don't
trust or care about anyone. Because in which case I have to hate it ideologically, but I don't even think it's really going for that. I I don't know.
no. I mean, when I walked out, I was kind of numb. I was like, because that final like scene of just the with what happens with Riley Keough and her husband and the baby, and it's like fuck. And you're in the theater. Me and my roommate were in the theater, and we're both just like, when that happened, we're like, God damn it.
I mean, it's
But
incredibly tense, even though you're pretty sure that this is exactly what's going to happen. Like,
mhm.
it's highly unlikely that it's going
Yes,
to go any other way. And that's a testament to the filmmaking ability that you're still feeling
mhm.
that wave of tension, even though you
But
know that this is going to happen. But
right.
you know that this is exactly what's going to happen. There's no other way it could have gone.
It was gone after an hour. Like I walked out of the theater, read your reaction, which was I was happy to see it, and then I'm driving home. Me and my friend are kind of not talking for a second, and then we're just talking about okay, when I get home, I got to do this. Yeah, I'm going to do the dishes. I got laundry to do. Okay, tell me when you're done. I got to do my laundry, and we just start talking about stuff around the house, and I'm like, huh. I'm already over this movie. Like it just washed away that quick. It's weird. It's like there's not a lot of substance to this. Like there is, but it feels like there's not enough.
I found myself
And
frustrated with it for like a couple days because like I
more.
wanted there to be something there that I wasn't seeing,
Mm-hmm.
and I talked about it relentlessly, like trying to chase that. And I read a bunch of reviews, and no.
Right.
I
I get,
eventually had to give up, and I usually don't try that hard. Usually, I just tell myself, well, I didn't really like it, and
I
that's how it is.
I gave it 3.5. I forgot what you gave it.
I hit it with a 2.5.
Okay. The poster though is awesome, where it's just the dog looking out at the dark.
Yeah, that's a great poster.
And then you see the movie, and that shot happens, and it's the middle of the fucking day. And some promotional company said, no, no, make it night. That's it. That's
No,
why
the
they're like,
promotional company severely screwed with this movie. I mean, people probably wouldn't have.
this is something I shouldn't have seen in a big theater. I should have seen it at like, your pizza and beer theater in a tiny room. Like this didn't feel like this should have been a wide release. This should have like stayed small because the expectations are way blown the f up at that point.
Definitely.
Fuck. So moving on.
So that would maybe be like my biggest disappointment of the summer, even though I didn't really watch that much, honestly.
Sure.
But that's one for just the year in general that I really wanted to be great. And it wasn't.
Did you get to see Captain Underpants, the first epic movie?
No, I did not. I did not
Okay.
watch Captain Underpants.
Okay. Did you read the books growing up?
Not really.
Okay.
Like,
Well, the
I was
theme
more into
song is
like
done by
Goosebumps and
okay. The theme song is done by Weird Al Yankovic, and when I realized that, it made me
of
very
course, yes.
happy, and it fits so well. And the first 20 minutes of that movie are actually really funny, like legitimately, like on like Lego movie level of how the humor is. And I thought if the
Uh-huh.
whole and I'm like, if the whole movie's gonna be like really good sight gags like this, I'm gonna fucking love it. Like I'm gonna really fucking love this movie. But it's Captain Underpants, and it literally boils down to toilet humor because that's the point. But that's kind of why I brought it down to 3.5 out of 5. But if it had stayed like a little bit more towards the first like 20 minutes, it'd be amazing. But then it wouldn't be a Captain Underpants movie, so it's hard to complain. But it's probably the best kids movie I've seen this year at all. Like not just summer, but at all.
Have
If
I
I
seen any at all? I
any
saw
kid,
Lego Batman. Um,
shit, yeah, Lego Batman might be a bit better actually. Well, shit,
I
but it's still worth watching.
that might be the only one.
If you grew up reading the books, it's totally fine. I mean, it's even with that, it's like if you really veer off from the books, it's not on the level of forgetting Neville's parents. It's nothing like that. um, uh, but it's fine. That's another like if it's on Netflix and you're in a situation where you have children running around and you need to put something on, it's fine and it's completely worth watching. Um, let's see. Oh, did you get to watch the Book of Henry?
No, I heard a lot about it though, and none of them were good. I heard a
Okay.
lot. I heard a lot about it,
No, Book of
but I did
Henry.
not. I At one point I was thinking about it like before it came out,
Yeah.
and then I changed my mind.
Book of Henry. Did you get to see Winter's Tale a few years ago with Colin Farrell? Mm.
Um, no,
Oh
no.
gosh. That's your next assignment is go find Winter's Tale at the library and watch it.
Oh
Anyway,
gosh.
well, okay, so Book of Henry is kind of amazing. And I don't want to delve too deep into why, because it's kind of a thing that has to be experienced. This movie bombed. It's the same guy who did Jurassic World.
Yeah, I
He,
know it was Colin Trevorrow, and that
yeah,
people thought he was gonna get fired off of Star Wars for this.
I don't think it would because the film is still a film. I read a thing that said this script was written in 1996, and I went, no shit. As Naomi Watts actually says the line, "I'll go to the papers," and means it.
Huh?
Yes, she actually means
No,
it. Not
that's not a thing.
not I'm going to put this online or I'm going to put this on YouTube or on Facebook or whatever. I'm going to go to the papers, and no one thought to change that line. There's a bit with a handheld tape recorder, like a talk boy, like it's home fucking alone.
Yeah, I know. There's like, I watched the I watched the Folding Ideas video about the Book of Henry, where he
Okay.
just like rants about it for probably an hour
Yeah.
ish.
Okay.
Gives the whole laydown. So I'm pretty familiar with what happens in this movie. I just haven't actually seen it.
It's
And I've read
amazing.
some reviews because I love reading bad reviews.
Right.
When a movie just gets like consistently slammed, like Emoji Movie, I ate that up. This
I,
I ate it up like
I skipped Emoji Movie.
as I also did, but
Book of Henry is worth a watch because you have to just sit there and go, this is a thing that happened. Someone allowed, and I mean that in a good way. Like this should go down as a future, I don't want to say The Room because it's competently made, but it's like that. It's like,
it doesn't even seem like it's competently. If I just Google Book of Henry,
mhm.
I come up with some nasty words
Oh,
from many
I
people.
I'm talking like on a technical level. It's edited fine, shot fine, color coding, sound, whatever. It's a technically well made film. The Room isn't. I don't want to put it on that level, but
Sure.
it's a oh my God, get people over the house, crack open some more wine, makes it whatever, and just go, so, have you seen Book of Henry? It's a movie about a genius kid who gets a fucking tumor 20 minutes
I love
in the
drunk
classroom.
movies.
In the classroom where this kid is 12 and he's in the same class with his brother who's 7, and then a 4-year-old's in the same fucking class, even though it's supposed to be one grade.
Do
And
they
they
live in like Bush, Alaska? Like why?
no, no, that's the thing. It's not
Obviously
like
they don't, or I
it's
would
not
have like heard a lot more about it.
it's not a tiny town or anything. It's a normal city that has this school, and it's a big school, but there's multiple ages and grades. Like there's a kindergartner in here with this kid who's supposed to be like 11 or 12, and then Sarah Silverman makes out with him right before the tumor kills him. Anyway, oh my God,
That's
it's
so much.
it's
That's
kind of
so much.
it's kind of amazing. Like it's I can't like I gave it 2.5 out of 5. I could not viably
Two and a
give it
half? Because it
more.
seems like so bad.
Oh, because it's entertaining. Like it's a consistently entertaining story, and I want to believe in it enough. The idea that this is a kid's fantasy movie come to life, and that's what the point of it is. And I'm trying to say that this is the idea of a child's point of view on adult situations and how extreme that can go. And I get that's kind of what the guy was going for. It's why things are so fucking batshit, and I get it. I kind of get the point. He just doesn't do it right. He just doesn't do it well. But I kind of see his point, which is why I couldn't give it like a shit rating, because my God, just fuck you, dead kid. I'm an adult. I can't. Like that's not even a line in the movie, but someone summed up Book of Henry in that one line, which is "fuck you, dead kid. I'm an adult," and I went, I love this movie, kind of. So, I mean, seriously though, like, I don't know if you have a way to write down anything right now, but write down Winter's Tale and just go find it. I own the book for Winter's Tale. I haven't read it yet, but I own it just because of the movie, just so I can have it on a shelf. To go, yes, I have this.
This is a bad movie, right?
Winter's Tale?
Yeah.
Oh, Winter's Tale is amazing. Um, is it good? No, it's amazing.
Okay.
I have the 2,000-page book
It's
on my.
something to drink while I watch because my
Yeah.
next scheduled drunk watch is going to be the Death Note movie. That me too. Me too. Trust me.
I
Trust
can't.
me.
I'm not getting into that. All right, so Book of Henry
Oh no.
is a drunk watch.
We're getting into it.
Winter's Tale's a drunk watch.
Eventually.
Yes. I'm sure you didn't see The Mummy. It sucked. 2 out of 5. There's a point.
Skipped it.
There's a point where all these books get knocked over because Russell Crowe's having a I don't know, Australian autistic fit, turning into
Oh no.
Mr. Hyde. And the book that falls is the book from the Brendan Fraser Mummy. It's the book. It's the exact fucking prop from that movie. And that's it. It's there for 2 seconds, and I said, fuck you, I should be watching the Brendan Fraser movie. It's 2 out of 5. It's shit. Don't ever bother. Anyway, Cars 3 I already talked about. It's viable. Rough Night is very bad things, except we also want to have a happy ending because we're idiots. We don't get the point of very bad things. Fuck you, Rough Night. Did you see My Cousin Rachel?
No, I meant to, but they didn't keep it around long enough. Should
It's
I?
worth. I think you would like it. You'll probably like it more than I did, but
That's believable.
it
Just from
feels
watching the trailers.
it feels like something you would enjoy. To me, I got the point that they wanted, but I was still questioning things that got brought up earlier. And it's actually a remake of a film from the 50s, and I forgot that it was until after I saw it. I haven't seen the original film, but I remembered just the concept of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go too deep into it, but it's essentially Rachel Wise.
Yeah, don't go too deep into it because I'm gonna watch it eventually.
It's Rachel Wise being really mysterious and funny and consistently interesting and charming the whole time and adorable. And it's worth watching, but it's I think it's trying to put modern ideas of men's outlook into relationships and expectations of it. And it's good for that. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 because I feel it didn't properly portray things as well as it could have. Kind of
Sure.
like Book of Henry. But it's worth watching. I sorry that it didn't last very long around you, but it's as soon as you get a chance, I would recommend that. And to anyone else listening, it's a solid movie. Um, that's what's next. Did you get to watch Oakjaw off Netflix?
No. Okay. How about I tell you what I did watch?
Go ahead.
Which I
Um,
already did. I already told you what I did watch. There's like three
okay.
movies that I didn't.
Okay.
Other than the superhero ones, and It
Yeah.
Comes at Night, we went over that. I
Yeah.
have. I haven't watched any of the Netflix stuff from this year because I'm a failure.
Um,
I have The Beguiled, The Big Sick, Dunkirk, and Baby Driver.
okay. Well, I'm about to skip up to that. Oakjaw is worth watching. It's adorable. Beatrice at Dinner's fucking stupid, and John Lithgow is Donald Trump, and they don't try to fucking hide it. And it has one good
Oakjaw's on
moment.
the list, so
Oakjaw's really
eventually,
good.
before the end of the year, I'll do like a giant Netflix binge and get all their like exclusives
Right. Don't
that
watch. Don't
are
watch.
supposed to be worth it.
Don't watch Beatrice at Dinner. It's fucking pointless, and I hate it the more I think about it. And Selma Hayek shows up at a very waspy house, and she's a hippie, and
I
then
know the
someone
premise, like, yeah.
and then someone shows her a picture of a dead rhino that Donald Trump shot, and they're wondering why she's mad. And I'm like, I hate this movie. Anyway, Baby Driver.
Baby Driver.
Oh, I saw it twice. I went alone and saw it by myself the next
There's nothing weird
day.
about seeing it by yourself if you go before 4 o'clock. That's my arbitrary rule. If it's a matinee, it's not weird.
Well, I work nights, so yeah.
So go on your day off. I went to Atomic Blonde, which I
Yeah,
was not
Atomic.
on the list that I gave you 2 seconds ago. But
No,
I saw it
because
by myself and it wasn't weird. There was nothing weird about it.
no, I see a lot of movies by myself anymore. No, I saw Baby Driver once with a friend of mine,
I
and
saw that by myself too.
we were just gushing about it the whole like during the movie. We're going, oh my god, that was really good. So I saw it twice. I give it 4 out of 5 because I feel that it could have brought things together better, and also I didn't really like the conversation that your favorite actor ever and the girl had in the diner. And it was really kind of awkward and clunky after seeing it twice, and it didn't always make sense. And it's his
It
fault.
was awkward and clunky.
Yes, and it's all his
I
fault.
felt like I gave it 3 because
Mhm.
I like the style. I like Edgar Wright and like his dialogue generally. Design, obviously. But Ansel Elgort just ruins everything. Like, I understand that the character is supposed to be somewhat of a blank slate, but even there are times in the movie where it calls for him to show an emotion other than like hairless and smug. But even at those times, like near the climax where he has to convince like Lily James to go like leave with him and whatever, like he just can't do it. And I didn't buy their like love story at all. She has no reason to be as infatuated with him as she is because he can't say more than like 2 words to her at a time. And like I don't know, I had a friend who was a lot hotter on this movie than I was.
Mm.
Try to convince me that well, her sister always got all the attention and whatever, so since she's been
I do love that
shown
line.
affection by this guy that she's more willing to jump into it than maybe like most of us would be, but like
Mm.
that's so I don't know. That's a undeveloped idea,
I
I think.
I did like that line where she said, "My sister's name is Mary. She gets all the songs." I love that. I've That's one that's stuck in my head. Just I hear anyone be named Mary, that's my first thought is she gets all the songs. I don't know why. Like I
No,
really love
I
that
like I said, like
line.
I like the way that the dialogue is written. It
Hmm.
just Ansel Elgort can't
Yeah.
carry the movie. Especially I think especially with a character that
There's something about the
doesn't
name.
talk very much and doesn't show very much emotion. Like you have to have somebody competent
Yeah.
so that you can still connect emotionally with this character. You can't have Ansel Elgort.
There's something weird about like the name tag thing where he points at it and she's like, I can't tell what he's saying, but then they laugh and I'm like, was that funny? I don't know what he said. And I've seen it twice. And
I don't know.
fuck your baby. Uh, it was so good though. Like it isn't my favorite Edgar Wright movie, and if this is this might be an honorable mention at the end of the year. I can see this falling out of my top 10. It's in it right now, but because there's so much around it, like so much surrounding this film that it works so well, and it's still Edgar Wright putting detail into everything. And that music video bit with him walking around the city in one take, and the words are graffitied on the walls and shit, and it's like, if the movie could be this,
I
without
really liked that. I really liked that.
parts of,
That opening bit was good. All
yeah,
about it.
and he points forward, and then baby goes backwards, and if you guys don't see me again, I'm dead. And then you don't see him again, and then John Hamm talks about killing some guy, and I'm like, I bet that was John Bernthal. And we just don't need to see it. We just That's them telling him, yeah, he killed him because he fucked with Darling. And god damn it, there's so much that movie does really well. But I think just the ending just kind of happens. Like they foreshadow the ending when he plays with the toy car and it falls off the table. That was like foreshadowing the ending in the parking garage. I
Mm-hmm.
It's like I get that, but I think back to Hot Fuzz where the whole movie's about Timothy Dalton hoarding over this whole little village, and they're actually fighting over a miniature version of that village at the end, and it's all fucking metaphors, and I love that. And this didn't have that impactful as an ending, and but so much of it still works. And quit feeding me lines from Monsters Inc. It pisses me off. And I
Yeah,
just
there was a lot that I liked about it.
I think Ansel
And then
I
plenty that just didn't come together. Like
mhm.
mostly having to do with the big nothing of a female lead.
She was serviceable. I think just she just wasn't written to do more. It wasn't Lily. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen her in too much stuff, but I think it's just how she was written. Um,
She was in Cinderella
yeah.
and Pride and Prejudice and Zombies,
Oh, that's right. It is her.
which
Yeah.
is quality,
Mhm.
obviously.
The one sad thing, Baby Driver was shot. It finished shooting in May of 2016. Anton Yelchin died in June 2016. Anton Yelchin could have done this fucking movie.
Could have been him.
It could have been him. And I wish it was him. It would have been amazing if it was him. He's right there. I don't get the Ansel. I never heard of him until you complained about him that night. But I just thought, oh, he's the kid in this movie. But Anton Yelchin is right there, and it really feels like he'd have fit right the fuck in, and he would have felt, like I don't know, because they even joke about like is he retarded or something? Retarded means slow. Is he slow? Is he autistic? It's like he plays it like it is, and it's like, god damn it,
He still has movies coming out.
Anton.
Just
Yeah,
like, yeah.
he does. I thought you were say Ansel, and it's like
No,
unfortunately
not
there's
Ansel. Well, I mean, he does also, but
and
I'm
hopefully
just
those.
I'm just gonna be so upset. and going to every single one of them.
I mean, I don't hate him. I get why you do. I get it. I don't hate him. That I sent you that picture with the with the
Oh
trip pants and the
gosh.
chain, and just like, oh my
Uh,
god, I had no
Now
idea.
you understand. Now you
I'm so
understand.
sorry. Um, real quick. Oh, the Tupac biography is really slow and boring and gets nothing right, and it's dumb. So
Okay.
I didn't realize you got to see The Big Sick, and I'm happy that you did because that movie is not making the amount of money I was hoping it was going to make.
Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up real quick, but
Pull up
what?
box
Yeah,
office mojo.
what? Yeah, what? How did you feel about The Big Sick?
I
I'm not
love The
sure if
Big
we.
Sick,
Yay. Okay. What
but
did,
I
what did you
watched it
rate it?
like the day after George Romero died. So
Oh,
that
okay.
scene where they watched Night of the Living Dead like took
Yeah.
me out of the movie for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But that's not the movie's fault. That's just bad timing.
What?
I mean, it did 46 million. I can't imagine the budget was that big.
It says it may. Oh yeah, worldwide. What did you rate it?
I haven't written anything about it yet, but
Oh, okay.
probably high, probably maybe like four, 4.5.
Okay, I gave it 4.5. It's easily. It's probably going to be in my top five for the year. I.
I'm like rearranging like my top 10
Mhm.
in like a private list to edit
Right.
once like I actually catch up with things. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely in there.
I have one of those too. Yeah, there's no production budget listed for the movie, but the movie couldn't have cost too much.
No, it
It
didn't
just.
cost anywhere near
I
that.
I honestly thought this was going to catch on.
Okay,
Like
I
I'm.
just Googled it and it said the budget was 5 million, so this movie did fine.
Oh yeah, I wanted it to catch on like a phenomenon. Like, oh shit, I keep tapping the mic. A phenomenon of like everyone sees it and sees it multiple times and loves it and quotes it, and just this movie really should have caught on, and I know why it didn't, and people suck. But because the cover looks like a Bollywood movie, the poster looks like a Bollywood movie. I don't recognize any of these people really, and then the main male lead on the cover is Pakistani, so they went, ugh, brown person. So they didn't go see the fucking movie. And it sucks
Oh,
because
but everyone who watched it like loved it. Like I loved it.
mm-hmm. Oh I loved that it's probably the best comedy, not just this year, but I've seen in the last few years. On it, it really is. It's just sitting in a theater it
Well,
was a
I'm
fun
always thirsty for a good rom-com, and like rarely does it happen,
right.
at least on like the wide release level.
I
But
tried to
yeah, I was happy that I'm happy with it.
I that's the most consistent laughs I've had at a movie personally of just being in a theater.
Oh no, I have a story about it. Like,
Oh please,
um,
please.
I was I went as a matinee like by myself, not very many other people in the
Yeah.
theater, but there was a couple behind me. The scene where they're like in the hospital like cafeteria and the parents ask him like what he
Oh,
thinks about 9/11.
that is the best line in the movie. I don't even want to spoil it.
But in that scene, like a girl behind me, there she starts choking on her popcorn like hardcore, like coughing, hacking. Like I turn around and so do the people like in the rows in front of me because like we think like this girl's gonna be escorted out
Yeah.
in like an ambulance because she's like choking so hard. But she's like crying and laughing, and everybody in the theater missed the next couple minutes of the movie.
Oh.
But that's fine because like she had a great time. She's okay, by the way.
Okay.
But I've never been in a theater with someone who had such like an intense reaction.
Because
My ass off too.
the end of the story is that you were the girl choking on the popcorn.
No, I wasn't the girl choking. It really wasn't me. It was just a girl
Mm.
in the theater. That wasn't me. I didn't die watching The Big Sick, but it could have been me. I don't usually get popcorn.
It's
Stuck in my
just
teeth. But this movie was hilarious, and I liked it a lot. Loved it.
it works as a film. Well, let me word this better. It works as a comedy so well because it works as a film on its own. Even though it's about him being a stand-up, even then you could cut out the majority of the jokes, and this is still a solid drama with
Definitely.
characters you care about, and that's why I like it so much. And those are my favorite comedies. That it isn't all just like ad libbed. Like I'm sure a lot of this was ad libbed here and there, but because he is a stand up,
It's
but
not like
it's
a Judd Apatow
no,
kind of production
and
where it's.
he produced it, and Judd Apatow produced it, and I saw that, and I'm like, I'm glad you didn't direct it because I'd be really pissed. Like this isn't really a spoiler, but the one part with Zoe Kazan, she's trying to leave and he's trying to see why because she's afraid to use the bathroom in his house, and she's so adorable in that scene. And what it looks like what they did was he left the apartment and then she came out and got him, and it's cute. That whole scene's really cute. But there's a bit where I realized, where I was thinking about it, like, he has a roommate who's every time he sees me, he's on the couch or on the chair, and I'm assuming he would have had to have left the apartment too, but they don't show him. There's probably a longer version of that scene where the friend comes over and goes, Ugh, I wish, you would have left when my girlfriend was here. What girlfriend? Shut up. Something like that. But they didn't. If this was a Judd Apatow movie, they'd been out there for 5 minutes having banter about their balls being cold or something. Or, Jonah Hill would have walked in with an uncredited cameo and say something anti-Semitic and walk out. And it's like, what the fuck was that? And I love that. It doesn't do that. It lets it be its own goddamn movie, and it knows when to trim shit down. And that scene in the lunchroom at the hospital, I love that it's in the trailer, and the trailer leaves out the best part. And I don't want to say it. The trailer leaves out the best part of the movie, and it's the scene. That's the bit. What she's choking on her popcorn on. It's probably the same thing I laughed at, and
That's the funniest shit I've seen
in a mainstream
in
movie.
a long time.
It was amazing, and it's not even like that's an original joke. It's just it comes out of nowhere because it's supposed to be a serious moment. Like,
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
you've never asked anyone about 9/11? Anti, and just
That
it goes from
the whole scene is so great.
there.
Like, I'll watch this movie again and laugh just as hard the second time, I'm
Right.
sure.
Or when
But
Holly Hunter's in the comedy club and the guy's like, "Go back to ICE," and she's like, "Are you a recruiter? What do you mean? You want them to have more members? The fuck is wrong with you?" So, God, it's such a
it's
good
just,
fucking movie.
yeah, it's incredibly solid, and there's like a good mix of like just like well written type of humor and like
Mm.
cringe humor, which I thrive on.
The cringe humor wasn't even. It didn't
It
last. It
wasn't
didn't.
extreme, but there's
No.
there's definitely some like awkward parts that are great.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's
I love awkward. I'm all
any
about it.
anybody that is listening to this, if you see it in the show times near you, just go support this. This is the kind of movie that needs to get made more.
Is this still showing? It's definitely not still showing here, but
It's still showing near me, but I guess I have more theaters. The wide
yeah, I guess.
release. It's been in wider release near me for about a month now, and
Mhm.
I got on Facebook. I took a picture of the poster. Like, I don't do this a lot, guys, but my God, go fucking see this. You will love it. I can't think of anyone that would hate this movie. It's so good. But yeah. So let's think about The Beguiled, because
That feels like
I
so
wa-
long ago to me that I can't
you
even
know,
intelligently
it kind
speak
of
on it.
okay, that's fine. I kind of
But
saw it. It's understandable because I saw it a month ago. Yeah, like I saw it a month ago with a friend of mine from work. She showed me the original because I didn't realize it was a remake. And
see, I haven't seen the original.
the original
I know it has Clint
has Clint
Eastwood. That's all I
Eastwood
know.
and the girl in the beginning of the movie, Clint Eastwood says, "How old are you?" "I'm 12. I'm going to be 13 in September." And he says, "Oh, that's old enough for kissing." And he starts making out with the 12-year-old girl. They didn't put that in the new one.
That's
Because
ugh,
now,
that's
yeah, now he's hiding from Union soldiers while he's doing it. That's why he does it. He doesn't just grab her, but it does add on to everything else. The original's better. The original's creepy as shit. This one's fine.
see what I have heard as far as comparisons, which obviously I can't speak to because I didn't see the original,
Yes.
is that the original makes it seem more like the soldier character is in the right, like he's being victimized by just a bunch of like crazy ladies,
Mm-hmm. The
where
original,
the new one gives the female characters a bit more nuance, is what the perceptions that aren't mine seem to be.
now the
I don't
original,
know if you can speak to that.
Clint Eastwood's character he's a Union soldier actually. He's a Union soldier who God, who gets taken in by this boarding house. It's a Civil War. It's a Confederate boarding house run by Geraldine Page. And her uh the Kirsten Dunst character in the original movie is Elizabeth Hartman, who is the voice of Mrs. Brisby in Secret of Nim, which I love that that's her. And uh, they find him, and he quickly realize they keep it's the same thing. Oh, we got to turn him in to the soldiers. We got to turn him in. So he immediately realizes I'm going to have to sit here and play with these girls to uh, to get out of this. I gotta do what I can with all the different girls and treat them differently. And it's better. The original's better. It's more of a horror movie. Clint Eastwood is a straight up villain. The girls are not the villains. He's the villain. And Colin Farrell's character has a bit more sympathy, I guess, but it's like I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into the movie because the original's completely worth watching. But
Mm-hmm.
the remake is fine. Like my friend hated it. My friend from work was just sitting there with her arms crossed the whole time, like, what the fuck is this? And she's just pissed. And it's like I thought it was fine. It's okay. It just kind of came and went. I actually forgot that I saw it too. That's why I came and talk about it. It's like, yep, I saw it 3.5 out of 5. I didn't even do a write up. I just rated it and moved on.
Sure.
Um, the Beguiled is fine. It's forgettable, unfortunately. But it's beautiful. Like she shot it really beautifully. It's it's deep in like the forest. I want to say Virginia, but I think it's more southern than that. It's all these like magic hour shots, and it looks really nice. But eh. Real quick, Wish Upon, which is that horror movie with the girl who finds a wish box and she keeps wishing for shit, but then people dying.
Yeah, I saw the hilarious trailer.
Okay, so I'm not gonna get too deep into this because whatever. There's a point in the movie where it does an establishing shot of a city skyline. No other part of this movie do they mention where it's located except you see a license plate that says Ohio. And I went, okay. The skyline is Cleveland. It's my city. And I recognized it immediately. And I've read other reviews saying there's this random shot of a skyline and it's obviously stretched out. They pulled a video that's like 360p resolution and stretched it out to fit a movie screen. And it's really obvious. And it looked like shit. And everyone's saying city skyline. And I'm like, I know where that is because on the left side of this shot is the parking lot I park at to go to work. Like, I know exactly where the fuck this is. Like, I'm looking in the parking lot going, I know where the plane went to get this shot. Like, I know where this is at. And it's so weird. And then there's a point later where he's like, we'll see here in Cleveland. I'm like, okay. Because there's this flashback scene, okay, to Jerry O'Connell, for some fucking reason, who had a mansion and then wished for the mansion, then he killed himself. Okay, the city of Cleveland has a fair amount of Asian people. It's not as big as like New York City. It's about the fair amount. It's a fair amount. Any big city would have this number of Asian citizens that we do. Yet a normal public school in Cleveland has a Mandarin Chinese class that everyone takes. It's apparently that fucking common to take this Mandarin Chinese class in Cleveland. And I live here, and I do not think it is this common. One, because why would it be? Two, the majority of the Asian citizens around here are Korean or Vietnamese. And also, they shot this movie in fucking Toronto, and you can tell. So the Bye Bye Man, which they shot in Ohio, but it's in Wisconsin. Meanwhile, this movie's in Cleveland, but it's in Toronto. And the movie's really silly. And I saw it in a theater full of people who knew it was shit, and it was me with my friend, and we just sat there and shat on the movie and laughed at it the whole time. And Ryan Phillippe, she says, I wish my dad would stop being an American picker. And then he shaves his beard and starts playing saxophone in the living room. And then Beth from Stranger Things shows up and says, your dad's hot. And then the next scene,
I just watched Stranger Things like a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Can you believe that? Like, why do I hate
not.
myself? Why did I wait so long?
And you loved it, right?
And I loved it, obviously, duh. What do you take me for?
I don't know. I can't just assume things about you. You're your own person. But she then says, your dad's hot. Then the next scene, she's running around outside, and then Ryan Phillippe shows up with his beard back. And then the next scene, Ryan Phillippe's clean shaven again, because whoever edited this movie is 5. So this is not a good kind of bad movie. I mean, it kind of is. Like, Book of Henry is a wonderful achievement of just what the fuck. This is just a generic bad horror movie that's entertaining because she is 8 and rides her bike down the street and comes back and parks her bike in the front yard and then goes inside and watches her mom hang herself. And then it's 10 years later.
That's nice.
It's 10 years later, and here's this lawn that's been mowed except for the part where the bike is, because they didn't touch the bike for 10 fucking years, and they mowed around it, apparently. That's how traumatic it was. And then she's on another bike, and I'm like, but you have one in the yard. And it's kind of, it's Final Destination, and goddamn it, it's stupid. Anyway, War for Planet of the Apes. You said you didn't want to see it, or you weren't going to. It's really good. It's worth watching.
It's not that I didn't want to, it's that I still haven't seen the second one.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Then the second one's fine. The third one is really well made, and Woody Harrelson's really creepy in it, and I recommend it. But if you need to see Dawn, then okay. To the Bone. Oh, you're not watching Netflix movies yet. To the Bone is totally worth watching, and if you get
it's on my list also.
If you get irritated by the British kid, I'm not gonna. Yeah, you should be annoyed by the British kid, but we'll go with that later. The Little Hours. You texted me about it. Did you watch it?
No, nobody wanted to go with me, and that's at like the beer and pizza theater, so it's weird to go by myself.
Is it still
I
there?
didn't get to see it. No, it's not. They switch out every couple of days.
That's right. Man, The Little Hours. The Little Hours is Nick Offerman owning a castle. If the whole movie was just him
I know, that sounds wonderful.
God.
They're playing... Right now they're playing a bunch of, like, blockbuster stuff. They're playing Wonder Woman and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Nick Offerman looks at someone and says, I will fuck you where you breathe, and then leaves the room. And I just sat there,
So
and
in the nose or in like the throat?
he doesn't explain. He just leaves the room after
Because
that.
I mean, because one of those is a common thing, and one of
Uh,
those is an impossible thing.
I think that the idea is that you're questioning what he meant by that is what makes that line amazing. It's just, I will fuck you or you breathe, and then leaves. Just
That made me feel uncomfortable.
it's
Oh,
how
they're
he
gonna be
says it.
playing My Cousin Rachel at some point. I'll watch it then.
Oh, they are?
I'm looking at their um
Hell
on
yeah.
September 4th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, give that a watch. You'll probably like that.
I'm sure. Okay.
Um,
I'll keep that in mind though. I'll watch it
little
eventually.
The Little Hours is a Netflix movie. I mean,
But no, I
it,
skipped it.
um, Little Hours is worth watching. Real quick, Girls Trip is exactly what you're expecting it to be.
Of course.
I don't get the 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's just because there's not enough like there hasn't been a big like woman's oriented comedy since Ghostbusters, so everyone's jumping on this and it's
What about
fine.
that Bad Moms? Or was that
Oh yeah, that
farther
was
back than that even?
Bad Moms was last year. Yeah. You know what?
I just saw a trailer for the sequel that's already coming out.
Oh, the movie, I think Bad Moms made a surprising amount of money. Like, cause
Yeah,
that
but
was
like it seems fast, so like it's been pumped out because it's like too soon for there to
last
conceivably
year.
even be a sequel. But it's coming out at Christmas this year. A Bad Mom's Christmas.
A Bad Moms, at least near me, was in theaters for like 4 or 5 months. It just kept playing. So I don't know if that was just
Well,
my
yeah, it
area.
consistently kept making money.
So I can see them running, it made almost 200, it made 183 million on a $20 million budget. Yeah. So that's why that they're rushing that out, but I can see them fucking it up. Because it's like that thing with like Finding Dory, where the movie made a lot of money, yet I don't know anyone that's seen it. Like I
I
don't
saw
know
it.
Finding Dory. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I've made this point with you before. This exact point, actually. I, um. Okay, that's Girls Trip. Valerian. Were you going to see Valerian?
It's still on my list of things to watch, and they are still playing it here.
Okay.
I'll
It's
probably end up waiting till it's in the discount theater just because there's other things that are more like
fair.
limited release stuff. Like,
All right.
I'm here to see like Wind River and Ingrid Goes West,
Oh
movies
God.
that probably aren't going to be here for
Right.
like months and months and months. So,
Uh, there's a lot out this
and
weekend.
good time. So I have to watch those before.
I got a lot to watch too. So Valerian sputters at the end and has a kind of boring ending considering everything else that happens. And it's the same guy who did the Fifth Element. The ending of the Fifth Element's amazing, and this is just okay. Everything else in it is totally worth watching, and I sat there for the most part, just kind of jumping in my seat, like, yes, more creativity. Yes, I loved how you brought that back together. I don't mind this Rihanna part. This is all entertaining. I'm cool with this. And then the ending is just an ending, and I'm like, you gave up, and I sorry that you gave up, but then Tom Hardy flew a plane for a really long time, talking to Michael Caine on a radio.
Yes.
And I got to see it in 70 millimeter on film, at a film print. It's the first movie I saw on a film projector in over 10 years. And it felt spectacular. It was on IMAX, 70 millimeter print, just everything I wanted. And Dunkirk is so well made and pretty. And yes, you saw
Yes,
it.
I did see it. And I wasn't as hot on it as most people were. Which
Okay.
I feel is my general reaction to so much stuff lately. Maybe I just need like a long nap. I don't know. I mean, it was technically well made. Yeah, everything that you said was correct.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they might as well just wrap up the Oscars for all the sound categories because, like, why even bother trying to
Um,
compete at this
uh,
point?
Unless something dramatic happens in the next few months, Dunkirk's going to sweep Tex and all that. I don't think it's getting any acting awards because it isn't made to get acting
Yeah,
awards.
I mean, the acting award. I mean, I don't know about all the technical categories. I mean, it depends on how much you're qualifying as technical
Mhm.
categories. Like, are you counting like hair and makeup? Like,
Yes,
they don't really have anything to submit for that, really.
below the line
Costumes, maybe.
stuff. Yeah,
Um,
costumes I could see. Um,
maybe, but I mean, I don't really know what's coming out around like,
I
classical like Oscar season,
oh
There's
the
always
Grim
like there's always like the big rush of stuff that just
right.
completely overtakes what we were all thinking about in August.
Huh. With Dunkirk, I gave it 4 out of 5. It's really well made. I just something was missing still that I couldn't just go completely holy shit about.
What was
But
missing for me was that I thought the timeline stuff was distracting and it didn't really add anything.
yeah, I could see that. I thought that that was if yeah, if you look at that and feel that the whole night and day switching and going up and down like that it felt superfluous, then that's viable. I kind of was a little I was waiting for the point. I've seen some reviews that say I got the point why they did it. I'm like, do you want to say what that was for everyone else? No, okay, because I don't see it. Maybe that's. I think that was part of it. Like on a technical level, the
I
film's
mean, I
amazing.
read a
I
few justifications of it, but none of it really like hit me as like, yeah, okay, I get it. It just honestly felt like Nolan having to
do something.
do the Nolan. He can't just
Yeah,
like leave it alone. He just has to. But I liked it a lot.
yeah. It's definitely
Or I don't know, I liked it. I'm scared of drowning. It fucked me up in that regard because every 5 seconds somebody's drowning.
are you saying like because of the movie or you've always had that?
No, I've always had that.
Oh, okay.
It
I think that was my
was a
review.
lot.
I think that was my review. I just said Dunkirk, water is now scarier than Nazis.
And I have a feeling that people are going to be talking about the score a lot once like uh award season comes around. But I found it a little overbearing.
Okay, that's viable. I mean, I honestly don't remember the score now that I'm thinking about it. I'd have to really like find it and listen
It
to it.
was super intense, often like way more intense than any given scene needed,
Mm.
or I guess justified.
You feel that the scene did well
I
enough on its
know,
own.
well, or the score was really intense. The movie wasn't like quite up on that level of intensity like at the time. I understand it's not really like a character driven movie, but a
No,
little bit more from like that main kid would have probably gone a long way.
sure. I mean I did like I think Chris Stuckman basically put it as there's never a part where they sit around a fire and talk about their pregnant wives at home. And it's like, yeah, you're right. And I'm okay with that, which is probably part of
Yeah,
why the whole
totally
timeline
okay with that.
why there's the whole timeline thing of like, let's cut out the parts where they sit there at night and talk about their dog. We don't need that. And it's you still managed to kind of get something out of the ending, and just there's still a sense of you know what happens because it's a historic movie, but you still
Right.
get a sense of tension, and it's still just it's a Christopher Nolan movie, and he still hasn't made a bomb. Um, okay. So the last one. to me, essentially, the summer ended at the end of July, movie wise, with Atomic Blonde, and you just
Atomic
watched.
Blonde. I just watched it this morning. It's fresh. Unlike the rest of these, I barely even know what movies we're talking about. Atomic
Okay,
Blonde, I got it.
go ahead. Your fresh thoughts on Atomic Blonde.
My fresh thoughts, I love Atomic Blonde.
Okay.
It has everything I could possibly want in a movie, which is neon lights, Charlize Theron, bisexual spy shenanigans, late 80s soundtrack. It was made specifically to please me.
Oh,
That totally unnecessary frame narrative. Like, why?
oh, the interview.
Yeah, the interview, they basically just interrupt what's going on in the middle of the movie and don't provide any extra insight into it.
Right. Look, I got story wise why. I mean, it's based off of comics. I'm assuming that's why they did it, because the comics that way.
No, I'm sure. I don't know. I haven't read the
But I
comic.
I didn't even know it was. Well, I didn't realize it was at all. Um, I did like the part where John Goodman hits her with a like pokes her with a newspaper and says you're out of your depth, and I'm like, that's almost you're out of your element. That's why you did that. Okay, I get it. That's almost what that line is, but you didn't want to say element because, yeah. Although it's Atomic Blonde, so if he had said element, it would have fit anyway. But they knew not to use it,
Yeah.
and I mean, I was happy with that. Um, no, I honestly I liked it. I didn't love it as much as I thought I would, because the trailer, I was like, I need this in my life right now. I
Same.
I think just when I finally sat down with it, because I saw it alone, and I don't know anyone personally that's actually seen it other than you now. But I thought about how in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, Toby Jones plays a character that sits at a table and talks to spies about spy stuff a lot. So I'm just going to assume he's playing the same character, and both those movies are related. And I think the issue also is that, at least for me, the story itself, I figured out early, and I don't know if you were supposed to.
I feel like the story was kind of an afterthought
Yeah.
just for some like cool action scenes and like hashtag aesthetic, which isn't necessarily something I have a problem with in this case. I mean,
Mm.
double agent spy stories, it it's hard to make a fresh one, and I don't.
Mm.
It was serviceable. It like moved you from one thing to another, I guess.
Right. And it's a thing of where
It made sense, but it wasn't like particularly like enthralling
more near
plot
the
wise anyway.
right, more near the end when they were kind of showing all the twists, and I think the movie is trying to make these twists feel more impactful than they kind of are. And I think that was kind of like hitting me too. I'm like, I just move on. Like I already got this. I'm good,
Yeah, I mean,
movie.
it's pretty obvious what like James McAvoy is up to.
Mm.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
at the same time,
but
Charlize Theron has lost a few years off her life after she destroyed 19 Russians in a building all by herself in what was supposed to be a one take shot. You could see it's like 5 or 6 cuts put together, but she's still just like when she dies.
I mean, it was still very well put together. I mean, that was a long scene.
Yes, it's
So if
extremely well done
yeah, very well
with
done.
Zero from Mortal Kombat Conquest when he shows up. I'm like, because he was in John Wick, and
Of course.
I'm like, oh, it's Zero. And then he shows up again. I'm like, oh, you're just going to be in every one of this director's movies. I'm just going to keep thinking of Mortal Kombat Conquest every time
That's
you show
fine.
up.
I'm not mad.
I don't remember the actor's actual name. I'm just going to call him Zero. Um, but that scene makes up for a lot of everything else with the film. And oh, damn it! And just I'm hoping there's. I think it's doing decently. We should probably see Atomic Blonde 2, where it's a whole new world after
I
the
will
one.
check.
Okay.
I'm all about that.
Box Office Mojo. You are
Yeah.
you're on that set a lot more than me. Excuse me. That's pretty.
Atomic Blonde. 74 on a budget of 30.
Okay. They did market it pretty heavily because I saw that trailer a lot. Um, but it didn't hit 100. Maybe foreign it will. Because it's. I wonder if that's going to be a movie that they're hoping China makes up for some way. But
Probably not. I'm gonna guess not, because there's a lot of gay stuff.
shit, you're right. Um, I mean,
It's
yeah,
fine. It's not like they're losing money on it.
it's not going to make him not want to
But
do it.
unless it goes like full like cult classic status like the original John Wick. Because it's
Right.
about on par with the original John Wick at this point. Probably by the end of its run it'll be at the same.
Mm. I'm fine with putting those three films together. Both John Wick movies and this is like this weird unofficial trilogy kind of thing. Even though it doesn't make sense, but it does in a way with how it's about a secret society world. One's made up
Yeah, the
for the
way
movies. One is spy
that
work.
it's secretive and kind of
Yeah.
stylized the way that it is, and how the main character is kind of like a blank killing machine, but you do also have moments where they show that they have like human feelings also. They're similar characters, like
Yeah.
like a gender swap almost.
Yeah. It's I do like. I mean, that's how I thought of it as soon as I read the same director. Like, okay, this is. That's pretty much it for the summer. Like, I've seen a few things in between. Like, I saw Detroit, and it's great. The middle
That
part of
I
that,
missed on accident. They only played it for like a week.
mm, it's worth it. The middle part is the main part, and it's really just kind of fucked up. The other bits are fine, but that middle part's why everyone loves it.
Okay.
I saw Ghost Story. I don't know if that even showed up near you. Where
It also only showed for like a week and I was busy, so no, I missed that too.
Ghost if are you a fan of nihilism and existentialism and Nietzsche?
Not particularly.
Then you shouldn't bother with Ghost Story.
That one I'll probably watch when it gets to Amazon Prime.
It's about watching Casey Affleck watch Rooney Mara eat a pie one take. That's
In one scene.
it's one take. It's one take. That's
That's
not a
awful.
it's not a joke. It's one take. It's she's sitting in a dark room. It's supposed to be her hitting rock bottom emotionally and how she can't connect with the world anymore. So she's a ghost in the real world and he's a ghost in the ghost world. And I'm really sitting there going,
Great.
"Oh my fuck." Like the rest of it's fine. The rest of it is I don't want to. I'm not really going to spoil it, but there's a point where he throws books, and the only book you really see is Nietzsche, and I'm like, okay, this is the whole movie's about nihilism and nothing mattering. And my one friend I went with, he said he hated it. I'm like, were you bored? He's like, no. A lot of the thoughts in this movie reflect my own thoughts, and it scared me, so I hate the movie. I'm like, oh, that kind of could mean this is a good movie to watch if you have depression. Um,
No.
it's really well done. It's a really well made film, but it's rough and it's 89 minutes. it doesn't feel like 89 minutes. It feels like a lot longer, but thank God it's only an 89-minute movie. But I'm reading shit about people crying and just being exhausted, and I'm like, I can't, because that pie thing just, God, no. That pie thing was a mistake. And if it wasn't for the pie shit, the rest of the film is a really good take on your own consciousness, your own existence, and how you feel you exist in the world. That works. The fucking pie was an experimental thing. He tried to make it work and it doesn't, and it hurts the movie. So that's a warning for you.
Okay.
Do you care about the Dark Tower books
I read
at
the
all?
first one.
Okay.
Um, and I was ready for the movie because Idris Elba. But I skipped it because everyone said it was dumb.
Okay, I've never read any of the books, but I still can somehow tell that they trimmed everything out of those books that made it unique and interesting and just gave a generic
Mhm.
fantasy good versus evil kid shows up and interjects himself into the fantasy world so he can be taught things. And yeah, my roommate has read all the books and he loves them. And I said, "Does this happen?" He's like, "No." "Does this happen?" I said, "No." And he's like, "Is this even the Dark Tower?" Like, I don't think so. And I think even in my review, and I'm going to say this again, the Dark Tower movie must feel like, for people who love the books, Order of the Phoenix,
Mhm.
when Neville's parents didn't show up and he never had the candy wrappers. So let's say that, but it's the Dark Tower. I can feel that it was that kind of bad because it felt like such a generic movie for something that's supposed to be amazing. And the kid has psychic powers and they called it The Shine because of The Shining. I don't know if that's in the book or it's just a Stephen King reference. That's the kind of movie you're getting. If you feel
Right.
you should skip it, I agree. I'm not going to say you should watch it. If you feel it's pointless, then it probably is. And Logan Lucky's really good. Seth MacFarlane sucks. But the very last thing I was going to mention, real quick, is the Glass Castle.
Uh-huh.
Because were you going to watch the Glass Castle? Did it look interesting to you?
I mean, Brie Larson looks interesting to me, but that's about
Okay.
it.
I went with two friends who have dealt with mothers and parents in general who had issues with emotional issues. One of them is bipolar, issues with alcoholism growing up. So there's parts in the Glass Castle that had them bawling their eyes out next to me.
Uh-huh.
I did not exist in that exact kind of surrounding. The Glass Castle's a very extreme version of that. But I just kind of sat there thinking about how none of it was really that effective. And I was very disappointed in it because I love Short Term 12, and it's the same guy who made that. I love the shit out of Short
Oh,
Term
really?
12. Yes, I loved fucking Short Term 12 so much. I'm assuming you
Because if
saw
I had
that.
known it was the same guy, then I would have probably watched this as soon as it came out. But
Oh,
I've been camping on it because there's
yeah.
other things.
Well, there is a bit. If that's going to make you want to see it, that it's Destin Cretton, then I won't go too deep into it. But there's a point where Brie Larson says a thing, and I got chills, and it's over an hour into the movie, and I went, "That took you way too long to make me feel something." And
Hmm.
it's not even like some big emotional family moment. She just says something, and she's so good at it, and I'm like, "Fuck." And then it just doesn't hit that point again, not nearly. But yeah, if it's around you and that makes you want to see it, go ahead and give it a shot. It's not awful.
It's not like top priority, but maybe.
Okay. Um. Well, yeah. I've talked too much. What have you been? Is there anything you've been trying to say that I kind of interrupted?
No. There hasn't. There isn't.
All right.
Um.
Um.
Yeah. No, there isn't.
Okay. I'm gonna make one final point, and then my God, I think we've been talking for over 2 hours. So whoever listens to this, thank you for sticking around. I just want to I just
Huh.
want to let you be aware real quick
Me
that yes,
specifically. Me.
well,
Okay. I'm
you
aware.
and
What's going on?
the general the general audience listening, but you mostly. So, a film opened up near me at one theater, not even the artsy theater, just a normal theater for 1 week. My one friend saw the trailer once and said, "Oh, it's called Chronically Metropolitan. It looks
Oh.
okay." Sure. Oh, you've heard of it. Good. Okay, so
Well, no, I haven't heard of it, but that name.
Chronically Metropolitan.
It's...
I want you to imagine any film about a guy coming back to his hometown after doing an awful thing, and everyone's like, "Oh, I'm glad to see you. Oh, where's that ex-girlfriend I had?" And then they go, "The ex-girlfriend, she's about to marry a rich guy." And the guy's like, "Oh no." And then he sleeps with her, and then he helps her get married to the rich guy anyway. Think of any generic movie like
Okay.
that, but the best friend in the film is Josh Peck.
Okay.
And that's not even it. Now, this sitting in the theater with this main guy who's trying to be Joaquin Phoenix, like trying to do the snarl and trying to give the voice, just the Joaquin Phoenix, just bored, aloof fucking voice, and he can't do it. And you want to hit this kid in the mouth, like the Ansel Elgort hate for this kid, right? So there's a part near the end where um uh Josh Peck starts sleeping with the main guy's sister, and they do the scene where the guy walks in on his sister and Josh Peck sleeping together, and the girl's like, "Oh my god, knock," and the guy's like, "Oh my god, I put a shirt on." She's like, "I'm your sister. You've seen my boobs 1,000 times." So then it's supposed to be funny
Wait,
because
what?
what?
I spaced off for a second and you said something about seeing your sister's boobs.
Oh, I'm sorry, I spaced out. I made you
No, I
space
did.
out.
No.
I made you space out. Okay,
No.
so let's just
Okay.
get okay. So a stupid scene where he walks in on his
Oh
sister
no.
being naked, and she's like, "You've seen my boobs," and he's like, "Yeah, but that was 10 years ago." I was like, "What?" And then Josh Peck gets out of the bed, and of course they were just sleeping together, so he's naked. So it's that
Ew,
thing.
why? Isn't
Yeah.
he like 12 still? I don't
Mm,
agree with it.
apparently he's also 30. I don't know. But Josh Peck gets out of the bed. And it's that thing where, oh, it's funny because it's a guy's butt. However, whoever edited this fucking movie left in the part where it's not just him getting out of the bed, it's him bent over getting out of the bed. So
Okay.
suddenly, on this massive screen in this theater, is Josh Peck's cornhole
That's nice.
in full view. And I
Ideal.
suddenly,
Really.
and then I pull my phone out in the theater because it's only me and my friend and this couple up front. And I'm already typing the review going, "Fuck you, Josh Peck's cornhole. Half star, submit." And I'm showing it to my friend whose fault this is. And then going to Josh Peck's Twitter and going, "I just saw your cornhole. Send." Never responded to that.
Classic.
And then I put my phone away and I just stared at him. He's like, "I'm sorry." And then I looked at the cup holder in the theater and the cup holder next to me and I yanked it out. And I'm like, "Hey, did you know these come out really easy?" And I don't care anymore. Fuck this awful, like the dinner sucked. This is the worst fucking thing I've seen all year. I was just everything was just shit. It was like 1.5 boring. Josh Peck's cornhole down to nothing. Just fuck you. Like it's gonna be a fight between what's my least favorite of the year. I don't think it's playing anywhere. It's gonna show up on Netflix suddenly. Like, oh, Josh Peck is in a movie. It's like warning. Massive fucking warning. He sells Mary Louise Parker weed because it's funny because she was in a show called Weeds.
Get it?
Fucking kill yourself. And then the dad is Chris Noth because I don't know. Anyway, done talking about it because it's late and I don't want to be angry going to bed.
There
So,
you go. Be happy. Everything's gonna
sorry.
be okay.
So,
Everything's gonna be okay.
the summer movie season is essentially done.
I'd call it done. We got a week until September to like catch up
Yeah.
because September is, always the dumping ground.
When it comes to the big blockbusters, I pretty much believe Wonder Woman was my favorite, probably the best thing we had all summer. Uh, I love the Big Sick more, but that's not really a big summer blockbuster movie, so I don't really want to count it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if we want to talk just the blockbuster season, probably Wonder
Yes.
Woman. Unless you want to count Logan.
That's March.
I mean, it came out in March, but I'd qualify it as a blockbuster. I would maybe not like the summer season. I don't
I
know.
would put Wonder Woman and then right behind it, honestly, War for Planet of the Apes, and then Spider Man. And well, no, shit,
Okay.
Dunkirk, then War, then Spider Man. Um, least favorite, probably that fucking Metropolitan movie, and if that doesn't count, then the Tupac movie, because I cannot. No, the Mummy's worse. The Mummy's the worst thing all summer that I saw. Fuck it. Fuck the Mummy on multiple levels, but God, the Tupac movie, like All Eyes on Me, is like right there. I don't know what the worst thing you saw summer would officially be. Probably, uh, oh my god, I forgot the name already. Horror movie. Oh my god, what
I
the
haven't.
fuck was it?
What are you
With
talking about?
Joel Edgerton, the stupid horror movie with the
Oh, it
plague.
comes at night. It comes at
It
night.
comes
It
it
comes at
comes at
night.
night. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Uh, so coming out now Friday today. There's a lot of interesting stuff. I have like about 4 or 5 movies I'm probably gonna like marathon on my day off. Um, Ingrid Goes West is kind of my priority, though. I'm probably gonna try to go see that as soon as I can.
That and Good Time and Leftovers. I still haven't seen Logan Lucky and Wind River.
Oh yeah, Wind River. Yeah, that I gotta try to see too. That's been near me. I just haven't been around to see it yet. I'm still getting used to my new hours and days off. But I think we're good. We have talked a very long amount of time
Yes, we
today, and
have.
so next time it'll be probably a bit shorter. We had a lot to cover. Um, so is there anything else you wanted to add tonight?
I think we can wrap that up.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah,
for
I don't think I got anything else for you.
I don't know. Well, for Half Price Tuesdays, I'm Vinny with my
And
partner.
I'm still Dorsey.
Okay. Have a good night.
Good night.